Well, if no one has any objections, I'm going to kick us off and get started. So thank you all for joining us this evening. My name is Erin Doherty. I'm the Research and Grants Manager at El Rio, and I'm joined this evening by Desiree Rose, who's our Director of Continuing Medical Education with SAHEC. And together we are going to do a quick presentation and open it up for discussion around structuring a poster for the upcoming Research and Innovation Summit in May. Just a quick note that this is going to be specific to the event that we are holding. However, you will find that some of the guidance will hold true throughout different conferences you may attend. But please just note that this is specific to what we are hosting. A real quick objectives review. By the end of this session, you will be prepared to design a clear, visually compelling research poster or innovation or QI poster that can effectively communicate your work. You will understand and be able to apply our judging criteria that will help guide how you structure your poster. You will have learned how you can effectively engage with judges and attendees, and you will also know how to navigate the in-person poster fair logistics that we're going to review at the end of this presentation. Here's a brief agenda. I won't belabor it, but we're going to go through the scoring criteria, the poster structure, how to design the poster, some logistics, and then we'll have a Q&A and final thoughts at the end. So just a real quick overview of the scoring criteria for this. So the biggest category for scoring for 33 total points is going to be the content and the quality of that content. We're going to be looking for strong background and rationale for your project, well-developed objectives, clearly described methodology, logical and well-presented results, along with a meaningful discussion and accurate references. At 15 points, we're going to be scoring for design, organization, and your clarity of communication. And this will include not only the poster itself, but also how you engage with the judges during the judging the judging time at the poster fair. So we're going to be looking for a well-structured layout, concise professional writing, engaging visuals, and how you communicate with the judges. At overall impact, we have 8 points. So we're going to be looking at the community impact, the relevance of your work, the innovation of your work, and how your research or quality improvement or innovation project can be applied. We're going to go through some best practices for the poster structure next. Any questions before we move on? Good to go? All right, so this is a poster from last year. This was our winning best overall poster. It was submitted by researchers from San Ysidro Health, and we are going to be using this as an example as we walk through how to structure a poster because they did a phenomenal job. So kudos to them and thank
Quick,
you.
Erin, the
Yeah.
best overall, they were first place in one of the categories.
Oh, they were a first place winner. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for the correction. Okay. Um, but they had I would say like one of the most visually appealing posters and did a really remarkable job. So we'll be using their work as an example as we move through this presentation this evening. So one thing we just want to highlight to start with, the title and author block. Please make sure your title is concise with not an overuse of jargon. Ensure the affiliations are correct. Please use a number format for the affiliations and use the naming mechanism of first name, last name with a comma, and then list the degrees. So exactly like Alondra and Rebecca did here. So you see their first name, last name, comma, the degrees that they have respectively. And then instead of cluttering this up with additional text saying San Ysidro Health after each, they used a numbering system. So they're both at San Ysidro Health, so 1 and 1. If you can use if you have multiple affiliations, you can add both of those. But please use this mechanism. It really keeps the poster from feeling overly cluttered, especially when it's the first thing that's going to catch people's eye. It's a lot less overwhelming to use this clean um, way to lay out names, designations, and degrees. And then just make sure, especially if you're a student or a learner, I would just encourage you to reach out to your co-authors, faculty members, whoever you're working with. Make sure that everyone is in agreement on the authorship order for the poster.
I have a question. Is
Yep.
there, do the authors proceed in alphabetical order, or would they be listed in order by, what is
Yeah.
there?
Typically you would find that the lead author is the one who's kind of taking ownership of the poster, if you will. And traditionally last author listed is kind of they're considered the senior author. I'm not sure if that holds true so much with posters as it does actual publication authorship. So if there is no concern about order and that does not denote any amount of, it does not indicate who contributed what to the poster, alphabetical would be fine. But again, I would encourage you, if you're submitting the poster in collaboration with anyone else besides just yourself, please ask them, reach out, and get that clarified. Any other questions on that? Okay. So moving to the background or the abstract that you'll include on a poster. So this is really your opportunity to introduce the problem and why it's important. Keep this short. You don't want to go more than 2 to 3 sentences. It should be brief and interesting. Highlight the existing problem and why this is something that needs to be researched. Um, if it applies, please include the theoretical basis for the work or the gap in the literature that you've identified that indicates this work was necessary. And it's important that references are included to adequately justify the statements that you're making. So this poster did a really wonderful job. It's right to the point. What's the problem? Childhood obesity shows why, especially among Hispanic patients, this is something we need to look at. They did a really nice job and used accurate references. Also, please use kind of the AMA style, if you will, with references using the numbers. Please do not put like APA style citations with author, comma, year. That's really going to clutter up your poster and make it hard to follow. For the purpose and objectives, sometimes it's going to be project goals, objectives. It really depends on the type of work you're submitting, but the message is the same. Make sure it's clearly articulated and well defined, and be sure to describe the who and the what. They did a really nice job including a program model and highlighting the purpose and objectives with their research and highlighted, or I'm sorry, bolded the words to really pop out to show like this is what we're doing or what they're emphasizing throughout the project, and then wrapping it up with their aim of the work. They did a really nice job. Moving into the methods and materials. Materials might not always apply, but everyone's going to have a method section. So in this part, please make sure that the design of the project is appropriate for the questions posed, that the methods should be clearly described and appropriate for the study design and project rationale. We're looking to see if the poster includes relevant details about the study sample, the materials, the recruitment, data collection, and data analysis. In this case, the materials could mean the survey used, things like that.
You have,
And we want, go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead. I have a question when you're done.
And we want to make sure overall that the methods accurately support the purpose of the project that was stated previously. Go ahead, Desiree.
The design of the project is appropriate for the questions posed. Can
Mhm.
you give a specific example? Like, can you clarify what that means? Like,
Sure. So if I say I want to look at how many people go to the grocery store on Saturday versus Sunday, it would be more appropriate for me to stand outside the grocery store and count. It would not be appropriate if the way I handled that was going in and said to someone in the store, how many people do you think are in here right now? How many people do you think come in here? And doing like an interview style. So making sure that the question posed and what you're trying to answer, that you went about it in the appropriate way to get an answer to that question. So that's a very simplistic example, but it remains the same that you actually designed a study to answer the question that you posed.
and are the materials, like in this example, would their flyer or their informational brochure graphic be a material?
It can, yeah, that could be a material as well as like the survey you could use. If you're using anything, um, like if you're doing something around diabetic retinopathy and you use an IPAX machine for a study, you would describe the machine used to do the screening, um, those kind of things. So it would be what materials were used for you to carry out that project. Any other questions? All right, so moving on to results. The study findings or expected findings should be clearly and concisely presented and displayed in an interpretable manner. Here, we really suggest tables to engage the audience. And again, make sure that the results align with the methodology and address your research questions and objectives. And just a quick plug, the word data is plural. So don't say data was, it's data were. So just a quick reminder as you're writing up your results, that data is plural. When moving into the discussion, um, you don't want to just repeat your results. So you can do a high level overview, but really tie it back to the purpose and an objective of the project. So look at how the study contributes to the field, the areas for future research in this field related to what you found. So build off of what you've done and where the direction is going, and how, specifically in context of this fair, how your findings can be used to improve the quality of care or services for the communities we serve. It's very important to cite high quality current references and keep in mind the number of references. Posters can be a bit tricky. You don't want to over reference, but you don't want to under reference. So make sure that you have, you know, I would say it's hard to go over five and not clutter the poster up too much, but it's really a balance of what's necessary to get the message across and have accurate and appropriate references. And then just a note in the discussion at the end, don't just say future research is needed. Um, I would encourage you to think a little bit more critically and really dive into what does that mean? What are the areas for the future research and how can you be a part of that? And what can be done, especially in the context of community health centers to, um, you know, create or sustain that momentum behind these projects to keep them going for meaningful impact. So oh, we had another slide. Okay. Um, uh, just diving in a little bit to the scoring of the posters. So, we're going to be looking at the organization, the quality of writing, the design and the aesthetics, and then also the oration and how you can effectively explain the poster and be confident and knowledgeable around the topic. And then we're going to be looking at the community impact. So we want to look at the how this work impacts the community that you're serving, the relevance that it's pertinent and of interest to the community health center movement. Is it innovative? And then our overall project award is the Create Tomorrow Award. So showing that it really demonstrates an impact on improved health outcomes and contributes to new knowledge and improved practices. So I'm going to turn it over to Desiree now to discuss designing for visual impact. I'll keep control of the slides though, Desiree, so just let me know when you want me to switch.
Okay. So some of the, so I'm going to talk about just considerations to make when you're getting ready to prepare your poster. What program we're using PowerPoint, but you may choose to use something else if you prefer, such as InDesign. But I think most people have access to PowerPoint. And we're going to go over specifically our criteria and then make some suggestions about how to organize and your graphic resources and get them ready to put in your poster, and some considerations with regard to font and other visual considerations. So this is in person, and so we want to make sure that people who are viewing your poster can, with reasonable eyesight, don't have to get that close. So they should be able to read it from 3 feet away. We're printing the posters, or you'll be printing your poster at 48 inches wide by 36 inches high. So based on that, you want to have a minimum for headings, big bold headings of 32-point font or larger. You want to stick to just like a color palette. So don't include a whole bunch of contrast, like just don't make it too busy with colors. Just kind of stick with a palette with your graphs and then maintain a consistent font style. We prefer sans serif. It's easier to read than so that means as opposed to like Times New Roman or something with the little, like, I don't know what you call them, like little decorations on the end of them. I don't know. You know what I mean. Just stick with the sans serif for legibility. Try to use white space effectively to avoid clutter. And I'm going to show you how we've done that with a template that we're going to provide to everybody for their optional use. And then you want to make sure that your figures and graphs are high resolution, because this is 48 inches wide, is about 4 feet, if I'm right? And so that's pretty big. So just make sure that when you're sourcing, if you're using any photos, that you get the high resolution. If it's going to be printed, try to shoot for 300 pixels per inch, or a larger file for your work. You want to keep your writing concise. Posters are not supposed to be overly descriptive with words. They should be short sentences, bullet points, and making lots of use of visuals. And then you can go to the next slide. So here's our poster, our sample poster again. So we think that they've achieved all of those considerations. They've made a really good use of graphics. I like how they've put the sections in big all caps font with in contrast with the blue bar. It's easy to navigate from each section to the next. And then the spaces, those columns, they provide white space. I've seen posters where people have tried to put more information as much as possible, and that font was so small that it was just impossible to read. So just make sure that you're keeping people in mind that they'll be inspired to read the poster. So this is a good example that has achieved all of those things. You can go to the next slide. So again, we're going to be you'll want to make sure that it can be printed at 48 by 36 inches in landscape orientation. And the reason why we don't want vertical orientation is because for the poster winners, we want to be able to print them. We have a designated honor, a wall of that where we honor the posters in our Manning House administrative building, and the way that we've set it up is so that the posters are all consistently in the same kind of 16 by 9 ratio. So we want to make sure that we can easily reproduce your poster and put it on the wall if you happen to win one of the awards. Some of this I've already said. So we're using it. We have a template for you, and we've set it up to be the size that will print, or be, if you're sending your poster to be displayed digitally and you can't attend, it will be very clear and easy to read on the monitors that we have are 40 inches plus. So our template will make it easy for you, and you can customize it as you see fit, or just use it as a reference. And then, so the next section is about, so the first section is kind of our requirements. The next section is recommendations based from the field. So for your title, make it 85 points. Headings, I said a minimum of 32. Other recommendations are 44 to 55. It just depends on how you lay it out. Body text should be 28 to 36 inches. And again, sans serif, such as Arial, Calibri. I don't recommend Arial. I would say Calibri or Aptos or something similar. And then avoid using excessive text. Sorry for the repetitive slides. You can go to the next one. So I wanted to provide this. We're going to be sending our slides, and this is something that is going to help you if your images get blurry when you try to put them to scale in your poster. So the recommendation is that you gather all your materials before you put them into your slide. Make sure that they're at the appropriate resolution. If you're printing it, 300 pixels per inch would be ideal. I know that not all images are accessible in that high resolution. But one thing that I wanted to emphasize is that, and I do this all the time, and I did this for this slideshow, don't copy and paste images into your poster. You want to save your graphs and your images into a folder, and then I can't demonstrate it here, but there's a function on if you're using PowerPoint that says insert. If you're using InDesign, it would be place. And then you insert the image from your file. That way you avoid accidentally copying in like hidden, like, I don't know, like web data or hidden things that can mess up your poster. You can make sure that it's at the right scale. And it just makes things just easier and guarantees that you're going to have a really good quality print. I put a link if what I'm talking about isn't, if what I'm describing, you need more clarification. Last year we had a virtual poster fair, and I made videos for people, and this is a video, the link on the left, that provides some guidance on how to prepare your files into your for inclusion into your posters. So you can go to the next slide. So this is what our template looks like. We have two layout options. So what I'm sharing is layout option 1. So the square or the rectangles, they don't move around. That's part of the background. And then you would just include your information and organize it how you want. And you can be assured that the document is to scale. So however you insert your images, the way that you see it is the way that it's going to print. And then you don't have to fuss with the formatting, and it gives a suggested kind of flow of how you might include some of your highlights and graphs. And then the other option is more, you can go to the next slide. So this is what it looks like, the blank. And then the next option, I don't have a sample, but if that's your preference, you want more flexibility, you can use that one too, or you can make your own. We just want to try to make it easier on people. So this will be made available to you if it is something that you want to do. And you can also customize the colors, of course. So that's all I have to say about that. Any questions so far? Okay, so with printing and setup, we're gonna ask for digital posters around April 21st, regardless of whether you're presenting in person or sending a poster for display on our digital monitors. And those will be and we'll have several monitors and we'll have posters going in a loop. Um, so the reason why is because we're going to provide the digital files to our poster judges who will assign ahead of time to review their poster and prepare them for the judging period during the live event. Then make sure that you print your poster and have it ready before the event, and then you'll want to arrive on May 6th early to set up. And we'll have push pins and poster boards for you to mount. You can go to the next slide. I think it's you after this. And I'll hand it back to Erin.
Sorry, I was stuck on mute for a second. Thank you. So we're just going to wrap up by going over some poster fair and award logistics. So as Desiree said, we're looking for the digital posters to be submitted likely on 4/21. Um, don't be misled by this. It's any poster. We just need digital copies so that the judges can start familiarizing themselves with the work. They're not going to actually score the posters until the day of, because part of the scoring is the oration and connecting with the authors. Just to note that we do need them, but you will not be judged based on that submission. The judging is done day of. It's going to be very um kind of somewhat rapid judging, and so everyone needs to be familiar with the work before seeing them on May 6th. The time to hang posters has not been finalized. We're working out some of those details, but we ask that you be available starting by 3 p.m. When we'll likely be inviting people in to start hanging their posters. Just a note to please dress professionally, and you know, just not in like sweatpants. And for the judging process, we're going to have judges review each poster based on set scoring criteria to keep it even across the board. Each presenter will have 2 to 3 minutes to explain their poster to the judges, and then the judges will be able to ask questions. So those are the main considerations for the day of. So now we can open it up to questions and answer anything that may have come up.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Are we required to print the poster on our own and then we bring it in to be mounted, or how's the logistics for the printing?
Yes. We're asking that the authors print the posters, and we do have some recommendations of where you can get them printed for reasonable costs. So sorry, Desiree, go ahead.
Oh, I said I've used Reproductions, which is off like downtown-ish, Sixth Street area, Fourth. I don't know, somewhere where that restaurant with a pickleball is near
Okay.
there. And they're really reasonably priced. It's a lot cheaper than going to like Office Max or somewhere like that.
Do you think we could send that recommendation out when we send the slides, Desiree?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks, Sophia.
I would have a question as well, please.
Of course.
So I'm going to be presenting online, and so it's a group of 3. And so can we all, does there have to be one keynote speaker, or I know there had to be just someone's name down for the primary presenter on the signups place, but could we all?
Oh, we're
Yeah,
not.
just put down. Yeah, you won't be actually presenting remotely because it's not going to be a hybrid event. So if you're going to submit just digital and be unable to attend in person, your poster will be displayed, but no one will have to be like with it remotely, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I don't know if we mentioned that we're assigning 3 judges to each poster so that it balances the scores, and that the last half an hour will be the presentation of the awards and honoring the work. And then we'll follow up with an official certificate of the award afterwards, because we won't know who is the winner ahead of time. And so that's what that will look like. There will be plenty of food, and it's a good opportunity to interact with potential employers in the future, or colleagues, other researchers, people that you may be able to work with in the future. So I think it'll be a good, I'm excited that we're bringing it back in person. So
Yeah, and pre-pandemic days, this was always a great event. Not that it wasn't great when we did hybrid, but it was a really great opportunity to engage and connect and uh yeah, we hope it'll be a wonderful event, not to only showcase your work, but to network with the community and people doing similar work.
so Megan is asking for in-person presentations, will multiple people be able to present, or only the primary presenter? Well, that's going to depend on how many people request to present in person. If we max out the 48 spots that we have for the room, then we may have to only ask the primary presenter, because we're going to also have at least 26 to 36 judges. And between the poster presenters, and the judges will be at the fire codes, the rooms in max capacity. So
Yeah.
we're gonna figure that out as we go. I'm giving everybody till tomorrow to confirm their posters, but I think we're gonna be following up with some people and just sending out reminders. So by the end of next week, we'll know for sure. And then once we do, we will figure out how many people per poster we can allow.
Yeah, I would say, Megan, if it's a special circumstance, please just send us an email so we can keep you on our radar. And that way, if we know, like, hey, we're gonna have a couple extra spots and these researchers really want to bring an additional presenter, we can kind of have a priority list going. So please just shoot us an email and we'll keep it on our radar.
And then I just want to add, if you haven't already, I've capped off the registration. So if you click on the registration for the event, you don't want to attend the May 7th educational sessions, you don't have to register for that, but you can. I'm asking everybody to register for the poster fair, because that's helping me to monitor where we're at and when I need to cut the registration off. So I haven't been sending out announcements to the general audience yet, because I wanted to make sure that I'm securing everybody who's going to be there for presenting and judging first. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click the link to register and sign yourself up. I don't know, is there anything else?
Any other questions? Will
I
most of you be able to be there in person?
Thank you.
We'll see Megan there.
We have 33 so far that have requested to present in person, so that, we still have, I'm not good at math on the fly. What does that make? 30?
Still have, what, 15 spots open?
Yeah.
So we have 48 poster boards, if you will, that can display.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was wondering, Erin, if I have a PDF file of all 4 of the award posters, if I should include it with this, with our slides for people, just for their reference to look at.
like the winners from last year.
Yeah.
I think since we got permission from the Lunita group, we can just use theirs for now, because some of the other posters, they won due to content. but there were some stylistic changes we wouldn't or things we wouldn't recommend. So I would keep the Lunita one as kind of our gold standard of
Sure.
following in terms of formatting and design.
And if anybody has runs into any, I don't know, complications, because I don't think PowerPoint is the most user-friendly. It's just the most universally, available type of digital tool for graphic manipulation. If you have trouble, you can email me and I can help troubleshoot for you, because I've troubleshooted for myself last year and now I have it all figured out. So I also have I can do, if anybody's working with InDesign, I can do that too. So I don't know, I guess that's it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope it was helpful to kind of walk through how to set up the poster, what we're going to be looking at in terms of judging and scoring criteria. If there are any questions, concerns as you're moving through this process, as Desiree mentioned, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help guide the process. This is we're really hoping to really cultivate an interest, especially for younger researchers with this research fair. So please don't feel intimidated. There are no, silly or simplistic questions. Like this is it's not easy to create a poster and go through this process. So we are here to help you and to guide the learning, and look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.